नवनीत यार ये क्या कर रही है? Yes, please start. We are live now.
Okay.
You can start.
We are live now.
Okay. So I can start. Can I start?
Yes, ma'am, you can start.
Okay. Namaste. I am so sorry for the internet. Maybe
Wait,
the not so good.
just a minute. I think we can't.
You can start. We are live now.
Okay. So, and
Yes.
namaste.
Start.
Yes, ma'am, you can start.
Okay. Namaste. I am so sorry. Okay, namaste. This is Lu Fang from China. I come from Indian China Yoga College. I'm so happy that I can share some of my views with all of you here from a faraway place. And I think nowadays, all the people of the world are facing the COVID-19, and we are also looking for the effective way to defeat the virus. And both India and China are two ancient countries with ancient wisdom towards a holistic health. And in struggle towards COVID-19, I think yoga impressed our Chinese a lot. Today, it is my honor to be here to share some of my views with all of you. My topic is yoga, the bridge to link the traditional culture between India and China. And first, I'll show you some of the pictures. And I think from the pictures, you can see a very familiar phenomenon. And I think you can also see the Swami Ramdev. And it is the yoga camp that organized by Swami Ramdev. And it is reported that a lot of people are following the practice and according to from the internet and other place. And on your left side, you can also see some of the pictures. It is our students, our undergraduate students. You know, just like I mentioned, our college is called Indian China Yoga College. So it is a newly established college. It was established in 2015. And from 2017, we have the undergraduate students on yoga, and we also have the master degree students on yoga. And so on the left side, they have the demonstration in the open park, and they also do some of the teaching for the people for free. And on the bottom of the screen, you can see 3 pictures. They are the pictures from our university also. They won the national house yoga competition in China. And nowadays, I think Indian China Yoga College is so popular in China. That is because I think both the teachers from India and from China teach them a lot. We invite some of the teachers from India, and even ICCR send some teachers to China. And we teach students not only yoga philosophy, but asana and pranayama. And nowadays, we also have some of the joint program with DSBV Haridwar and SBRSA in Bangalore. And more teachers are invited by our university to China. We share their lessons with others. So more and more people know more about yoga in India. And for me, maybe at first, I think yoga is a kind of exercise. And for a lot of people in China has also such kind of impression. But in 2016, I was invited by the Department of Youth with my president. You can see a Chinese appearance. It is my president. And in that year, we know that yoga not only asana, but also philosophy, and it is yoga can for body and beyond. And that is why from that time, I began to do some of the research on yoga. That is why more and more and we also know that the philosophy behind the ancient practice of yoga has influenced various aspects of how society functions in China, whether it be in relation to areas such as health and medicine or education and the arts. And we also know that yoga can unifying from the body to soul for greater mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. And the values of yoga form a major part of the community's ethos. And in my class, I also explained that in 2014, there's a day called International Day of Yoga, was also declared by the United Nations General Assembly, and also explained the meaning of logo to my students. And from the logo, we know that the essence of yoga is for harmony and peace. And we also find 5 elements. For example, the fire, the nature, the earth, the water, and the source of energy and inspiration in the logo. And I also told my students that it is also that 5 elements, 5 basic elements from Indian culture. So I think for our students, they know that yoga is not only a kind of exercise, but also a kind of culture. And from this, from yoga, we know more about India. So, and in our courses, we are discussing with my students what is yoga. And maybe at first they think that yoga is a kind of a form of exercise. And then they will tell me that yoga is a kind of therapy which can cure all the diseases. And then they will tell me that yoga is a kind of union of mind and body. And gradually from the articles and from some of the masterpieces from India and from the Indian teachers, we know that yoga is appeared in a lot of Upanishads, especially in Maitreya. There are only 6 limbs are mentioned. And in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, the 8-limbed yoga appeared. We also know that Yama and Niyama were included, and asana also took the place of taka in the Upanishad. So gradually, and I think the students can know that yoga is a kind of ancient philosophy which can be dated back to the time of Upanishadic doctrines and the Vedic age. It is also called an actual period by Karl Jaspers. And since then, mankind has a universal framework for historic self-understanding. And from the reading, we also know that according to Ms. MIRD, the practice of Tao is the Chinese equivalent of yoga after the attempt, and which has been carried over a decade to understand yoga as explained by Patanjali in Yoga Sutra, which is the most ancient and authoritative text on the subject. And I appreciate what Mikhail Iliad said. Yoga is our immemorial experience of human behavior in general. I think from yoga, we know a lot about Indian wisdom, and also know that it is a kind of ancient Indians experience. And in my courses, I also explain that yoga is a kind of a holistic philosophical system. And at first, we know what is 8-limbed part, 8-limbed. And I told them that there's a system. And first, there are social code. It is called Yama, and it is used to harmonize one's social interaction. And also know that what is niyama? It is the personal code. And we use in yoga, the niyama was used as the personal code to harmonize one's inner feeling. And after that, maybe we'll come to asana. Asana is a kind of sitting pose. And for this sitting pose, not only for the body, it is a kind of balance. You can balance your body. And then we come to Pritahara, and it is come to pranayama. I think pranayama is a kind of breathing, but it is not only breathing, it is lead to control and to one's pointedness. And then we will all come to the sense of withdrawal and to gather inwards. And then we come to concentration. And the concentration on mind, if we can keep on concentration on mind, we can come to meditation. And meditate for meditation. And nowadays, I think meditation is very important for everybody because it is maintain a smooth and fluctuating flow of concentration. So at the last part of Eightlinked Path, it is the superconscious that is called samadhi. I think it is the highest part of yoga. It is kind of a 10 self-realization. And so in such kind of study and research, I became more and more interested in yoga because I found that from the explanation of yoga, I also find a lot in Chinese traditional culture. And that is why nowadays I wanted to motivate the cultural interchange to search for the Eastern wisdom because, and after a while I will explain some of the key points in the Chinese traditional culture. And in the Chinese traditional culture, we also have some of the harmony between the nature and the human beings. And we also hope that we can control oneself and we can control the inner parts. And I'm not sure whether you have ever heard in China, there is a kind of methodology we call the Fang. And because it is very hard to translate, so I use the English to do the explanation, but I keep the Chinese. And to Fang Shu, it is a kind of arts. And in arts, and they are scholars and they are recluse and monks and so on. And in the comparison, I found there are some very interesting points. And because, you know, in our such kind of methodology for keeping fitness, it is included in Fang Shu. And there are some points similar to the 8 links of yoga. For example, in China, I'm not sure whether you have ever heard of Li. And in China, I think Li is very important. Just now I mentioned that when we mention about yoga, we'll dig back to actual period. When we dig back to actual period, we also in Chinese, the San, Zhou, Gong will, and Confucius will be mentioned. And according to a very famous scholar in China, they think that the ethos of Chinese are inherited a lot from the culture in the Western Zhou dynasty a lot. And generally speaking, if we mention Chinese traditional culture, we will mention about Li, which came into being in the Western Zhou dynasty. Li is regarded as a core of Chinese traditional culture by Qiangmu. So what is Li? And Li is the guidance for all Chinese. if we can keep Li in the suitable way, we can not only harmonize our social interaction, but also harmonize one's inner feelings. And according to Li, a child should begin to study at the age of 10. They should spend 9 years for study. There were some various aims during the first year, the third year and the fifth year. The seventh year and the ninth year, this is the foundation to enter the highest institution in the country, which we call 大学. Nowadays, maybe we call university, but I think university and 大学 is very different. Because I have been to Gurukula in India. I think Gurukula is a kind of traditional institute in India. In my opinion, 大学 is also a kind of highest institution in China long times ago. Because the time is limited, so I only mention Li a little for you. And for asana in China, we also, because when I explain asana for my students, I found that asana come from the imitation from all the objects in the world, in the cosmos. And in China, we also have 五禽戏. What is called 五禽戏? Because we imitate, for example, we imitate the action of a tiger, the deer, the bear, the ape, and the bird. So you can see that this is the imitation from bear. This is the imitation from the ape. This is from the imitation of a tiger, and the imitation from deer, and the imitation from the bird. Because I think our ancestors are so clever. They found that from imitation, they can keep their health. And so they imitate a lot of the animals and some of the birds. And 五禽戏 was invented by a very famous doctor in China. It is called Hua Tuo. And so nowadays, some people are also practicing 五禽戏. And for pranayama and pratyahara and dharana, I think in China we have a kind of thing called qigong. And because for qigong there are different kinds of qigong also, and in at least we have four kind of qigong. The first it is called Confucian qigong, and for Confucian qigong, people will pay more attention to the inside perfection and the social practice. So they will keep quiet when they will keep their body quiet. They will keep their soul pure, so they can achieve the perfection in at last. And we have Buddhism qigong. I think it is also we learn from India, and so the ancient Chinese combined Buddhism and Chinese traditional qigong together, so they invented Buddhism qigong. And then we have also have 武术qigong. That means gong fu. We combine the gong fu and the qigong together. It is said that if we can combine the qigong and the gong fu together, so the people can practice gong fu much better. And we also have Taoism qigong. I think Taoism is a very ancient philosophy in China. And if they wanted to achieve the highest level, they wanted to achieve the harmony between nature and the human being, the people should keep quiet, and then they will have their spirit pure. At last, they can achieve the highest level. And we have also other qigong called medical qigong. And because in China, we find that from breathing, they can keep health, and they can have a lot of benefits from such kind of exercise called qigong. And in China, because qigong is a very traditional methodology, so we have the dynamic qigong. And I think from this picture, you can see the people are not only practicing Gong Fu, but also they will use some of the Qigong together. And this is called a Dao Yi Qigong. And I think this is kind of Gong Fu. And so Gong Fu is very popular in China. I think when I went to India, the children are also very interested in Gong Fu. And if you can practice Qigong first, so I think you can achieve high level of Gong Fu. And from this picture, you can also see with a kind of Qigong called Yin Qigong, the people can even spare cannot hurt the people. So, and the final picture, you can also see it is kind of sound Qigong. That means that by making the sound, by combine the sound and the Qigong together, you will have not only keep the people health, but also you can get a lot of Gong Fu. And for Chinese, we can also use massage as a kind of Qigong. And we also have another kind of Qigong, a lot of Qigongs, okay. And so maybe you have the Qigong for sitting quiet, you have the Qigong for relaxation, you have the Qigong for concentration. You also, and so there are also many parts of the Qigong toward this static Qigong. For example, your stay is and concentration. You will have restraining the mind staff to unite with cosmos. And there's a kind of Qigong will make the soul pure. And also from the self-observation and stop any of the fluctuations. So you can keep your health and you can keep your mind pure. And there's also a kind of Qigong called concentration on one point. So, and you will know that well, a lot of methodology will have a lot of parts in Qigong, but from this methodology and from the description, and I think you will find that there are some of the common points. There are a lot of similarity between Chinese Qigong and dhyana and concentration and meditation. And for the Samadhi, I think maybe for this part, Chinese and Indians have different aim. And I also remember that when I went to India, some of my Indian friends will ask me, do you have any religion? I told them that I haven't. So they asked me, do you have guru? I told them, I'm sorry, I haven't. So they will have a joke with me. So how can you live? And so I told them that, in fact, we also have our culture we have no religion, but we also have some of the cultures. I think from this communication, and they will know more about the Chinese culture. Maybe for Chinese, we hope that we can live in the best station, best level in this life. So we hope that we can be the perfect people in the world. We should do things good. We should be kind to the others. Although we have no religion, but we think we should be kind, we should be perfection. We should make our lives much better. And so maybe today, because of the internet, not so good, but I will try to want to say that the world today is moving towards greater multipolarity, economic globalization, and cultural diversity, and it has become increasingly information-oriented, but all the point to promising prospects for the future. Meanwhile, instability and uncertainties are mounting under the global challenges faced by humanity and becoming even more daunting, calling for the joint response from the country around the world. And for Chinese, And for China and India, we're not only neighbors. I think from the culture, from the you know, I have visited India 7 times, and during my visits, I think I met a lot of kind Indian people. I also found that we have a lot in common. I can communicate with them very well, and from this communication, I also think that we need to respect each other and treat each other as equals. We should improve the mutual understanding. And I also wanted to show some of the pictures, so you can know that. And this is in 2018. I was invited by the Embassy of India in China, in Beijing. And so I went to India with my students. And so the dear madam meet us and have a picture with us. And in 2019, some delegate from India come to my university. So we teach them Tai Chi, and they also practice yoga with me. And this is in 2019. I visited Delhi and have a yoga training in the Raja Desai Yoga Institute. When we leave, the yoga teacher came to us and have a ceremony for us. She told me that for Indians, they will use such kind of ceremony for the relatives or for friends when they are leaving. At that time, so moved because I think the friendship between Indian and the Chinese are so deep. So, and I also think that we can have mutual understanding. And you can also see the Indian teachers. He was sent by ICCR in China. Now he's living in Kunming too, because he will teach us students yoga. And I will invite him to have some communication with the Taoist priest, because I think for Taoism, there are a lot of similarity between yoga and Taoism. Sometimes they will communicate a lot. From such kind of mutual communication, I think we can have more comments. And so you can also see that I invited him to attend some of the ceremony. This picture was taken when I visited Gurukul. From Gurukul, I know that how the students can learn Veda. And I'm also found that some of your tradition was passed on now. I'm so happy to see that. And I visited SVRSA, and this is we invited Guruji to visit our university to have lecture with my students. And I invited the Indian teacher to visit the Taoism, and they can go to the Dao Guan, so they can have more communication. So you can see a lot, and I wanted to see this picture. This is our undergraduate students. In last year, they visited DSVV and stay there for half a year. And because we think that they are the yoga major, so they should have communicate with the students of yoga in India. They should learn what is yoga in India. So, and from such kind of communication, I think the Indian people and the Chinese people can know a lot. And with such kind of mutual communication, I think the friendship between us will be deeper and deeper. And so, and I also think that win-win is the best. And I hope that the friendship between China and India can last forever. That is what I want to share today, because internet not so good. So maybe I'm not sure whether my voice can be heard by you. And so today, thank you for Professor Akshay, and thank you for giving me time to sharing my view with all of you. And you are warmly welcome to visit Kunming, to visit China when you when you are available. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Fang, for a lovely talk. We had some initial internet problem, but then this went fine and you nicely explained the India-China College of Yoga and the activities. You started with a nice picture of Swami Ramdev, and you told about Qigong for concentration, Qigong for different things. So we have a couple of questions from the Facebook. Would you like to take the questions? So the first question is, how do you do meditation in China? Somebody is asking on the Facebook.
Okay, in China, and maybe we'll ask them to keep quiet at first, and then we ask them to relax. And then maybe we can ask them to observe the breath. And so gradually the students can, because I think it is at the beginning for the students. It is very hard for them to keep concentration. In my opinion, meditation is a kind of one point. Keep your observation on one point. And maybe in India, you will concentrate on the God that you believe in. But I think in China, we'll ask them to concentrate on for example, on one thing that they are so they are interested in, maybe. And because sometimes I will ask them to concentrate on something, but for the undergraduate students, they can only know about meditation gradually. But I think concentration is very important for everybody. If you cannot concentrate on something, you cannot achieve the state of meditation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. In yoga, you do meditation by concentrating on the breath, because breath is like a bridge between mind and body.
Yeah.
And is there any other question here on the panel, Kalyan or Navneet? You want to ask her question? You have made a lot of efforts to connect. We had initial internet problem, and we apologize to the viewers because of this, but we were able to connect. Yesterday, there were some issues of connectivity, then Dr. Fang and Kalyan were able to resolve it. They did some technical check. Today, earlier in the 6 p.m. or so, we had some trouble, but now she's live with us. So if you want to ask anything, Kalyan or Navneet, yes, Kalyan.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I have experience. I have went to your university and I have experience around 2 months. So thank you very much for your talk.
He has been to your university.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
To those viewers who have joined late, let me tell you, Dr. Lu Fang is the professor of the India-China Yoga College at Yunnan Minzu University, Kunming, China, and is a supervisor for the master's degree students on yoga and anthropology. She is a member of the Teaching Affairs Committee of the Social Sports Guidance Center, General Administration of Sports of China. She is also former Vice Dean of the India-China Yoga College. She has interest in cultural anthropology, ritual studies, studies on intangible heritage, yoga philosophy, and the development of modern yoga. And she has, as she mentioned, she has visited India many times on the invitation of the late Shrimati Sushma Swarajji, and who was the External Affairs Minister, and also many programs of Department of Ayush, as officially she was invited. So that is for the viewers who joined late. Now I can see a lot of viewers are there on the Facebook. They have increased. Navneet or Kalyan, do you want to ask anything?
No, sir.
Okay, I would like to ask, how popular is yoga in China now? Is it growing? Is it coming down or so-so?
And I think yoga is very popular also in China. And nowadays, more and more people became interested in it, because I think yoga not only make them how to say, lose their weight. At first, they come to learn yoga because they want to lose weight. And then they found that yoga can make them relax. So they became more and more interested in it. Nowadays, we also tell them something about the Indian culture. And, when we explain Indian culture, we told them that Indian culture and Chinese culture are relatives. And so why we see that we are relative, because as I mentioned just now, we will find a lot of similarities, and both India and China pay attention to harmony between people and the environment and the cosmos. I think this is the most important thing, and we wanted to control ourselves, but we didn't wanted to conquer others. Just want to control ourselves. We should control ourselves so we can have a harmonious relationship with ourselves, with others, with surroundings. This is what I'm interested in. And I wanted to say that why I'm not the vice dean, because I became more interested in the culture research between the Indian culture and the Chinese culture. I wanted to devote more to the mutual understanding. That is why I resigned the position. Yeah.
Very interesting. So we have more questions coming up here in the Facebook. The first is, what is the trend in China about TCM, traditional Chinese medicine? Are they trying to combine the TCM along with yoga?
In my opinion, I think the Chinese traditional medicine is also a kind of pay more attention to holistic health. And maybe I think my acupuncture point is also very important for the people's health. And for our master degree students, we also teach them something about the foundation of the CTM. So that is why I think we can, we can learn each other. Maybe we can take the advantage of both countries. So make people more health.
In that respect, there is another question from some Dr. Shripad. He's asking if there could be a link or a bridge between Ayurveda and TCM.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think Ayurveda and our Chinese traditional medicine will have more a dialogue. And when I went to India, I also hope that Indian China Yoga College can be a platform. So, and more Indian scholars and teachers can come to China, and more Chinese teachers can go to India, so we can communicate each other, because mutual understanding and mutual cooperation are very important nowadays. Nobody can isolate ourselves. And I think from COVID-19, we know that nobody can isolate it, and we should have more cooperation together. So that is why I said win-win is more important. Okay,
so you're talking of the cooperation between the Eastern culture and the Eastern approaches. So since you mentioned COVID-19, has TCM or Quichong being used for COVID-19 in the hospitals in China?
Yeah. And during the epidemic time, and especially in February, and I think China is in a very tense time. At that time, we have to isolate ourselves at home. And some of the doctors use our traditional medicine to cure a lot of patients. And in this COVID-19, I think more and more people realize the importance of the ancient wisdom.
Very nice. There is another question. Does your university, so these are the questions I'm reading from the Facebook. People are asking, so you are becoming popular. They're asking, are there any online courses in your university?
In fact, nowadays, we have online courses, but only for the students of our university. And in future, I hope that we can have online courses to all over the people who wanted to learn more about yoga, about Chinese Qigong and others. Okay. But
Sure.
nowadays we cannot provide such kind of online courses for other people.
One more question popping up, and this will be the last from Facebook. Then we will try to move, since we are moving towards the end of our allotted time. Is there a mention of pulse-based diagnosis in Chinese traditional medicine or any other system in China? You know, the pulse diagnosis, when you hold the pulse like in Ayurveda.
Yeah. You know that, to my surprise, when I went to India, I found you also use such a kind of the similar, how to say, methodology towards, from the pulse, we can, how to say, I'm so,
Diagnosis.
yeah, and. But I also communicate with the doctor from Ayurveda in India. They told me maybe they will use different way, but the similar way, not the same. I cannot explain clearly because I'm not a doctor. Yeah.
I think you're talking about three dosha. There are three Ayurvedic principles that you can detect: Kapha, Vata, and Pitta. These are the three basic clinical symptoms you can assess in Indian Ayurveda. So you have a similar system in China. Is that what you're saying? You have some sort of a system? No.
Maybe in China, we will see heat and cold and yin and yang, because I think it may be different system. But we have also have, for for Ayurveda, I'm not the doctor, so I'm sorry, I cannot tell you clearly. Yeah, next time I will ask for, I will invite some of the teacher who know.
No, that's okay. Yeah, actually, the question was if in China there is any pulse-based diagnosis. It is not a question about Ayurveda. It's a question: what is the practice in China? Does China use pulse? Does it use pulse-based diagnosis, or it does not use in China?
Use it.
You use it.
First, we will see about your appearance, and then so we will, we use it.
I think this is related.
Next time, you're welcome to Kunming. I will show you to the hospital so you can see it clearly. Okay.
Sure. Thank you. Kalyan, you want to ask anything?
Sir, I want to correlate something like regarding Ayurveda. That is this Nadi things this is called Nadi Tarangini. So in which we are doctors are observing various flow, high flow or mild flow of blood. So by this they can diagnose the disease. Maybe in China also that kind of Chinese traditional medicine diagnosis system may be there. And also she has mentioned about the heat and cold. So if you correlate with our Hatha Yoga, itself is told that Ida and Pingala Nadi, or left nostril and right nostril. So we can correlate in that way also.
There is a Ida and Pingla, hot and cold. That's right. So finally, I think we would like to thank you from all of us, but just one last question. If you're still there, I think her pictures appear to be frozen. Are you there, Dr. Fang?
Yeah, I'm here.
Still there? Yeah, you are there. How is the situation of COVID-19 right now in your place? Everything is safe, nice?
And nowadays, we are safe and nice because, in China nowadays, only several cases appeared. And in Yunnan province, nowadays, we can go out without wearing masks. And all our students come to campus from, this, at the beginning of this month. And so they can come to the campus. So we can have courses in our campus now. And we can also go to the restaurant, we can go to the free park, and we can go to the downtown, and the people have the daily life gradually. And Yeah, so I hope that best wishes for India. I hope that.
Best wishes to everybody in the world, to you, and I hope things work out better and we use more and more yoga for de-stressing anxiety, stress, and improving our immunity. Thank you very much, Dr. Fang, for joining us despite all the challenges. From all of us here at Facebook on Yoga Scholars PGIMER, on behalf of Indian International, the Integrative Medicine case reports, we thank you. Namaste. Thanks a lot.
Say thank you. Thank you.